Okay, this is about the vocabulary and about our discussion of the Helios 522 or hypoxia, right? Now, these are the words that people are going to hear if they watch the documentaries or a news segment. And in order to have a better understanding, again, we don't have to understand every word, but if we talk about the words, use them in a sentence, have an example sentence, and maybe a little story, that helps our understanding. Okay, so that's what this is. And just an overview or a review of what we talked about. Okay, so being dizzy. I'm dizzy. I'm experiencing dizziness. Dizziness is a real problem. It's something that we have to think about, right? Dizziness is a real problem for me. And I had a story that I told or I sent out about this dizzy bag game. And I've seen this on Korean TV too, but I played it when I was a kid in church. And you have two teams lined up. Each person takes the bat, they run to the end or some designated point, some area. They spin around, they turn around with the bat on their head, and they run back. And everybody laughs at them because they fall down. And hilarity ensues. It's a movie trailer phrase. Drowsiness is also a problem for people who take cold medication. So I had this little segment here, and I like these because in a commercial you get 10, 20 words. Or not, well, you get a lot of words. The nighttime sniffling, I can't remember it right now, but that's one of the things there. Okay, this is a movie Vertigo. This actor's name is Jimmy Stewart. I'm going to mention something about him here in a little bit. But vertigo, it's a feeling of dizziness. You're swimming in the head, a state in which all things seem to be engulfed in a whirlpool. Now, engulfed was also in our EPTA practice slides. The airport was engulfed in fog, or the building was engulfed in flames. Now, yeah, the verb there is I'm experiencing vertigo. There was a case of vertigo, you can say. Why did I mention that previous actor? Well, in America, here in Korea, people watch this Home Alone. Every Christmas it's on. But in America, usually It's a Wonderful Life is on TV every single day, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that actor is Jimmy Stewart, right? Kind of one of America's best actors in the past. Here we go. Overcome vertigo, get rid of vertigo. How do you do this? If someone complains about, they can't overcome their vertigo, what should they do? Well, you need to get physical therapy. You need to reduce your stress. You need to eat a healthy diet, get plenty of exercise. Also, you need to talk to your doctor and consult your doctor. All right. In the movie, they they have him stand on a chair and he kind of practices. Right? I don't know if that does it or not. Okay, slur one's speech. All right. When a person is experiencing vertigo, it's kind of like their jaws like this for talking, or we heard that in our in the example we have the news segment. Right? So I always ask, what type of when you drink, what type of person are you? The person who sleeps at the bar? Are you the sleeper? Are you the talker? Are you the person who likes to dance? All right. Are you the lover? This is Bugs Bunny's friend, Pepe Le Pew. The person who gets into fights, the sleeper, the person who falls in love, right? Okay. A slur is also like a derogatory or a pejorative term for somebody of a different race, right? A derogatory nickname, that's a racial slur. And we had a video with that of O.J. Simpson's lawyers that comes up. Good job, congratulations. Sometimes I've heard people here say on your birthday, congratulations. I'm like, what did I do? Because usually we say happy birthday. So maybe if someone receives an award, another thing you could say is, that's a well-deserved award there for you. Good job. There's many ways to say good job. I like to give a well-deserved award there. Right? I like to say you deserve that well-deserved reward, something like this. Okay, we talked about these famous cases, Helios. There are other cases, possibly maybe the Malaysian aircraft that's missing. Although nowadays people think that that's like a pilot that committed suicide, possibly. They talk about the Learjet with Payne Stewart was a golfer. I remember that case. Right? Something very similar. Some people speculate about Malaysian Air 370, but we don't know. Then we watched this ABC World News program, and they talked about how the controller could detect slurring in the guy's speech. They could hear the guy, his speech was slurred. So then she kind of helps him, talks him down. Also, another major point from that as a pilot is like other pilots are helping him too. Okay, we talked about the video. All right, these are the questions that we came up with. If you are practicing a language and you can summarize or use these sentences, that's a good thing. The higher you go, as you go higher and higher into the atmosphere, into the sky, when you increase your altitude, the effects become stronger, right? So we had this chart. This was for Helios 522. This was their flight path. And I talked to a pilot from Cyprus, who commented on that. And we watched a video usually, and you can hear his accent. Again, we talked about the word stumped, like when you really don't know, like somebody asks you a question, you're like, oh God, I don't know. Right? You see this in the news as far as the Malaysian aircraft. I mean, they're stumped. They're baffled. I thought this word comes from like a tree stump. You cut down the tree, it's easy, and you have a tree stump here that's hard to get out. But stump just means, I don't know. So somebody says to you, hey, how are we going to remove this tree stump? I don't know. I'm stumped. Then I had an example. This is, I don't really know who this guy is. I think he looks French or something. But he uses that word. The history of a word is called the etymology. And there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of false stories out there. Right? For example, S-H-I-T. Shit. That means that came from ship in higher transit. So they used to put cow crap, cow dung, cow manure in these boxes, but that had to be higher in the cargo hold. But I don't know. Who knows? And then we had a kind of a discussion, and what is the etymology of this word, the word stumped? What's the history of that word? Where did that word come from? What is the origin of that word? Okay, they misinterpret the master caution switch. They're kind of misled by the clues. All right. You also hear this in the American Airlines 965 video. Giddy. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 we always use this word, 1 we never. This for me is a 3 or 4. It's kind of a fun term. And when somebody looks like this, like, hee, I'm so happy. You can also hear it in Indiana Jones, the third movie, when they're in this underneath. They're in, I think, Milan, and they're in a tomb. And she eventually, when he gets the clues, she says like, "Oh, you're as giddy as a schoolboy, like your father." She says it. They say it 2 times in the movie, I think, maybe 3. It just means happy, like hee hee. Weigh in on is give your opinion. So would you like to weigh in on this issue? Now you hear that in like a Fox News commentator or some commentator will say like, okay, and here to give their opinion is so and so, here to weigh in on this issue. It's usually used for news broadcasts or advice. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 6 or 7. Giddy up, by the way, is idia, woohoo, like you're on a horse. Every kid, I think, in the United States knows that when you jump on a horse. So feeling giddy, maybe you don't know this. Maybe kids don't use this, but they jump on their father's back and say giddy up. Again, this is a piggyback ride. Dad, can I have a piggyback ride? Sure, son. Also, the 747 can give the space shuttle a piggyback ride, right? So I think it's baloney or bullcrap that they can't take my luggage. All right, a little bit of the background. Helios 522, they were en route. They were going from Cyprus to Athens. This is in 2005. It was a Boeing 737-300. Unfortunately, there were 121 fatalities, 121 people died. And the main factor there was the pressurization system was set to manual after a door inspection by maintenance. So they didn't see this, the maintenance guys, and the pilots didn't talk or didn't communicate. They couldn't figure out what the issue was. Okay, so if you just watch the Helios 522 and want to give a summary, then that's good. Right? Which factor do you think was the most serious? What could have been done to prevent this situation? How do you think the flight attendant in the captain's seat stayed conscious? Because remember, the cabin crew member made it to the cockpit. Right? What were authorities in Greece mostly worried about? Why did they involve the military? Describe what the fighter pilots saw in the Helios plane, or one fighter pilot. We watched these two segments for our video, and you can hear these words we're talking about. Subtle, something very small. I can't really notice it. Okay. We also say he slowly made his way to the cockpit, to the front of the aircraft. Maybe he held his breath. Some people say I've heard that he was a diver. He had been diving. He had scuba diving experience. He was an experienced scuba diver. Who knows? We had this discussion just for fun. Should cabin crew receive at least some flight training? Why or why not? All right. And again, however you feel, it's okay.